Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Cocktail Crew. Morning, Sam, as always,
Morning.
with us. We've just been talking before we started, really, recording this, and we realised we haven't actually told anybody about what we do, have we, Sam?
We've not, definitely not. So I think we need to sort of do a little brief introduction of ourselves before we move on to our topic for today, don't you think?
Yeah, how about you go first, Sam?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm Samantha, Sam. I'm the founder of the Cortex Coach. How do I describe myself? Probably like a personal trainer for your brain. As a life and mindset coach, I help people, shift perspectives, overcome self doubt, and unlock their full potential. My approach is deeply personal. It's tailored to your journey, the individual's journey, and it's designed to create lasting transformation. So that's a little bit about me and what I do in terms of my coaching. Over to you, Hazel.
Well, I don't think I can follow that. Shouldn't have asked you to go first. I am
We're
Hazel.
very similar, though, aren't we? We're very similar.
They are. We both do similar things. So I am the consistency coach. And what that really is for people who are feeling a bit like I was myself, actually, when I came on this coaching journey, feeling a bit lost, maybe fed up with doing the same job, maybe wanting to look into other things you could dive into, just maybe get some new perspectives. And very similar to what Sam does. She says it much more eloquently than I did, but thank you for that,
Oh,
Sam. But moving away from me, this is actually a big, big topic we've got today. It's all about mind monkeys, which I'm sure most people are familiar with. Some people
I
call them
definitely am.
what they call it the inner monologue that runs along in your head all the time, or just those annoying
Yeah.
thoughts. So tell us a bit more about them, would you, Sam?
Yeah. I mean, you said it really well. It's that inner turmoil, inner mind. Have you ever felt like your brain is running its own chaotic circus? I certainly have, and it's on a day-to-day basis. Your thoughts are swinging from doubt to worry. They're refusing to settle. These are your mind monkeys. And what we want to do today is really understand how we can um, how they impact us,
Yeah.
deep dive into why they show up. And most importantly, I think that's what I was trying to get to first, how we can take back control um, of those mind monkeys. So,
Yeah.
really, I think if we start off with exploring the problem, they're not just random thoughts, aren't they? Are they mind monkeys? They're often tied to deeper patterns, whether it's, we've talked about this before, fear of failure, past experiences, or even that pressure to be constantly on it. And that's not natural, is it? You can't be on it all the time. And it's that loud chatter when we're stressed. And it's keeping us stuck in cycles of, and again, we've talked about it, procrastination in a previous podcast, overthinking, or even self-criticism. And me for one, I'm very good at
Oh, I'm
self-criticism,
brilliant.
and I'm sure you are
I'm
as well.
fantastic at that. And
Yeah, yeah.
I liked what you said was when I started researching it, you just think, oh, my mind never shuts down. But you said something really interesting that it's not just random thoughts. It can be stuff, as I've even seen, from 10 years ago, and you think, oh, I didn't do that well. And it definitely comes to me at times when I'm under particular stress. And instead of focusing on what I should be doing, sometimes everything will come into my head at once
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they take over your logical thinking and working out how to deal with all of this is going to be interesting because I'm sure a lot of people, especially in this day and age, have these fears and doubts and little monkeys
yeah.
going about
It's overwhelming, isn't it?
hugely.
It takes over, and it can really hinder you. But it's good to know you can train them. Just like wild monkeys can become calm in the right conditions, your thoughts can shift with an awareness and practice. So I think if we need to understand the mind monkey, don't we? Really,
Absolutely.
and things like mental restlessness. The mind monkey often describes a state where the mind is constantly bouncing between thoughts and unable to stay focused
Yeah,
on a single thing. And I think when we've all got busy lifestyles, haven't we? We're
yeah,
all very busy. We've got jobs, we've got our personal lives, we've got interests, and we're bouncing from one to the other. And there's often guilt involved in that. If you're doing one more than the other, you feel guilty because you feel that you're neglected. And you're spreading yourself really thin, and then that increases the mind monkeys, and those thoughts are bouncing around.
absolutely. Um, but
Yeah,
I also noticed, and it's quite interesting, that this concept originated in Buddhism.
it did.
It did, yeah, referring to, like you said, the state of restless, uncontrolled mental chatter. And it's seen as a natural tendency of the mind to be reckless? No, restless.
Yeah,
Because we're driven that way, to try and always be improving or do something else, and so this is naturally going to come up. But it's good how I've seen how they can also disarm these monkeys, like you mentioned, and there are
yeah,
ways to deal with these things that are actually helpful. And one of them, I'm sure you'll go into more detail, Sam, is about how they actually give names or a personality to these monkeys that are in your head. So for you, for example, it can be the perfectionist monkey that comes up all the time.
yeah. Definitely. That is it for me. Um, and that probably ties in with the imposter syndrome, because that's how it affects mind monkeys affect me through imposter syndrome. It's that constant whispering, you're not good enough,
Yeah,
despite potential and probable, not potential. That's my mind monkey and imposter syndrome coming in potential, despite evidence to the contrary. We've all worked to get where we're at, and to be where we are now. It's very easy to diminish it. It's only like every day you get, everyday life. Someone may come to, oh, you look really well today. I went, do I?
yeah, I know. Yeah,
That's your instant reaction,
yeah,
isn't it? Because the mind monkeys, and I've said before in previous podcasts, like even getting ready, like how I'm dressed, the mind monkeys whirring and that constant chatter saying, well, actually, you're going to stand out to everybody else because everybody else is going to look so much better to you. It's overwhelming, isn't it? And it's emotionally draining.
it is
That
so draining.
constant mental chatter is exhausting, and it does make you feel, leave you feeling overwhelmed. And you
Yeah,
do overthink things as well. You jump from one worry to another. So, like I said, worrying about what you're going to wear that day, then worry about how you're going to portray yourself in a potential meeting, worry about how others are going to perceive you. It's that by the time you get home at the end of the day,
you're exhausted.
you're shut down, haven't you?
Yeah. And I think what I've learnt to take from this is that once you realise what they are, your particular ones, like for mine, I get complete anxiety about, have I upset anybody today? Have I not done
Yeah,
something? Have I said anything that maybe somebody took wrong? And I've had to try and let go that and realise that everybody's just getting on with their lives. This is all in
yeah,
my head. Nobody's thinking, well, Hazel, you said something in a text and it didn't have the right
yeah.
spelling or something, and I'm going to sit here and think about it. They're not. But in my
No.
head, they are.
And not only that, they're probably having the same thoughts. You
Probably.
know, mind monkeys don't just affect me and you, it's everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but it's about how we can, like we said, how we can tame them. It creates creativity blocks. That's not really a flowing sentence, but I'll go with that one.
Why not?
Um, they interrupt your flow. They make it harder for you to, you know, engage. And it leads to sort of decision fatigue, because these mind monkeys are flooding your mind with doubts, even makes the really small choices feel daunting, and it shouldn't.
And I do.
So,
I think as well, if you're just you've got some days where you're having a bad day,
mm,
and everybody again. does. And I think if you're not going to take control of these, that's when it seems to get, for me anyway, a lot worse. And I can
Yeah.
actually, maybe I'm sharing too much with people, but we'll find out. I can literally come to a stop and think, oh my God, do I go, like I did before this podcast this morning, Sam, because I was just
Yeah.
I'm just feeling a bit down with a cold and all that. And you start to
Yeah.
think, am I going to know what to say? Is my nose going to run? Am I going to go? So I had a little bit of that before. So yeah, and I definitely think when I'm stressed, they go out of control, wild, and
Yeah.
that's what I really need to work on.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's about looking after yourself as well. It's okay to not know what to say. It's
Yeah.
okay if your nose runs. If your nose runs, what do? We wipe it. You know, it's
You know what I
it's
mean.
but it's those little things, isn't it? And
Yeah.
and that makes a big thing. And it could almost, to the point, it could stop you doing something. I'm really trying to, for an experience for me, to really trying to get myself out there by, you know, hopefully doing more presenting
Hmm.
and more networking. But if someone asks me to do it, my first reaction is, oh God, no.
Yeah.
Why would I put myself in that situation? Because that is just creating more mind monkeys. One, why would anyone want to listen to me? Two, I'd be no good at it because it's already the negatives, isn't it, that come into your head? Not actually, yeah, I've got something to say on that subject. I've got my opinions as valuable as everybody else's. That's the positive way. That's how we should be training our mind. But the default, certainly for me, is, oh God, no, why?
It's
Who wants to
interesting,
listen
isn't
to
it?
me?
Why do we have these all the time, these thoughts? I don't
Yeah.
know, but I was never encouraged to be like that. But it seems that's something you do to yourself that you keep reinforcing over and over that you're not, oh, maybe you're not good
Or,
enough. And
or do you think it could almost be the environment we live in? To be too confident then becomes arrogant, and we're sort of
I
like
do, yeah,
keeping ourselves in that
I
box,
think so.
rightly or wrongly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because in bigger groups, I mean, I know you fairly well, don't I? So I'm happy to talk openly. But when we were on
Yeah.
courses and things, it's almost more like I have to force myself, whereas I'd
Yeah.
naturally just sit back and listen.
Definitely. And like you said, on a course we've been on, our natural default, I suppose, is to sit back,
Yeah.
listen, observe, and only speak up when we feel it's of value.
Yes.
Um,
Um,
and is that really wrong? Maybe not. We don't have to be the all singing, all dancing loud out there, because it's. I suppose it's creating that balance, a balance not for anybody else but for ourselves.
yeah.
And if we need to be comfortable with that and not sort of see the negative and see the positive. Okay, I have this to say. I mean, I need to say it,
Hmm.
and it's got value rather than like, oh well, if I'm asked, I might just say that.
Yeah. That's
Changing that mindset.
changing the mindset. So,
Yeah,
what are some techniques you got for us, Sam? I always like these.
yeah. Practical tools. We've got, well, name them first of all. Recognize them, and I think we've started to do that, haven't we? In what we've just been talking about. Label the thoughts that help, and that will help disarm them. Instead of spiraling, which we've both done, and it's very easy to
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Call them out.
Yeah,
Say, oh, that's my perfectionist monkey. I can
absolutely.
really say that, because that stops me doing a lot of
Yeah.
things. Like, oh, because if I can't do it properly and I can't do it right, not when I say properly, I might be doing it right and I might be doing it well, but if it's not to my
Your standards.
standards,
Yeah.
it's not. It's not right, and it's not well, and it's
Hmm.
not good. So call that out. Call that perfectionist monkey out.
Yeah, and you've got what other kinds of
Um,
monkeys then?
yeah,
I've got the anxiety monkey that I really need to get rid of. He needs
mhm,
to go. So
yeah,
need to call him out whenever, because it does. It's just what's in my head then becomes a big, can I do this? Can I do this? That needs to stop. So that's something else I'll be working on.
Yeah. So what you could do there, you could redirect that energy. So your thoughts are jumping around. Give them a task. Journaling.
Oh, I
Does
do,
that
yeah.
help?
That, yeah.
Well, that helps you with your anxiety monkey.
Mm,
Deep breathing, that will help with the anxiety. Or even a physical activity that will help to ground yourself. There's lots of little techniques you can put in
yeah.
place to help with that anxiety monkey. And I think anxiety as well the anxiety monkey would come out with me with doing any presentations. My first default is, the artist who did the scream. That's
Yeah.
my first, that you cut me open. That's what
That's
you would
brilliant.
see inside.
Stick a rock.
Not a good image though, my interpretation of it, but
But I get what you
but
mean, though, how you feel. That's a good way of saying how it feels. That's a brilliant way of representing it.
yeah,
That
yeah.
automatic
Um,
fear.
yeah. Challenge the narrative. Ask yourself, is this a true thought? Is this thought true? Or is it just one of those really loud mind monkeys just really trying to grab your attention and hold you back?
Yeah, now,
And that's
go ahead, Sam, sorry.
no, just that's something that probably needs practice because we're so set in our ways, haven't we, of allowing those mind monkeys to take over. But it's about learning to stop them and think, is that true? And really analysing that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that is going to have to require, well, I'm just speaking from me just now, but to deal with this, I'm literally going to have to study my mind monkeys and figure out what, so taking that one, putting it onto a page, making it real so that I can say, well, how do I get rid of this?
Yeah,
Why is this happening now? What's causing it? So I think there's quite a lot of work on yourself you could do in this to
yeah,
to try. And some of the other activities that you've got, this pausing and breathing as well, just simple ones like that you mentioned, just
mm,
lets your mind just, so I could actually, instead of just breathing, what I'm trying to do now is see the monkeys going off somewhere,
yeah,
go away,
yeah,
leave me alone,
yeah.
don't come back
It's
for.
almost an NLP, isn't it? Of the sort of the swish technique, seeing them get smaller and smaller till you can't see
See
them and
them,
they
yeah.
disappear, and
Mm-hmm.
your positive,
You're,
your positive image takes over your positive self.
you're reframing your own thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. Mindfulness is really important, isn't it? Here,
Yeah.
I can't tell you about your mind monkeys. It has to come from yourself and it has to come
Mm-hmm.
from within. So you have to do it yourself, unfortunately. But it's about us sharing those techniques
Yeah.
and ways to do that everybody can get on board with. Um, Meditation as well, that helps train your mind, observe thoughts without getting carried away by them, and it allows you to detach from that mental chatter and find a sense of calm as well.
Yep.
So that's really important. Laugh at them.
I
Me when I'm nervous, or I start laughing. I could quite easily just burst out laughing in this podcast, and we have before we've had to pause, haven't we, and start again because I'm just literally laughing.
yeah.
And I think that's the mind monkeys, isn't it? We're
That's our
This is so
nervous
far
monkeys.
out of yeah, this is so far out of our comfort zone for
Oh
us.
yeah.
But we're facing those mind monkeys to do this.
Mm-hmm.
We don't claim to be perfect. We're not brilliant. This
We're,
is all new to us, but we're
we're
giving it a
learning.
go and learning. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, and definitely laugh at them. Sometimes humour is the best way to shut those mind monkeys
Absolutely
down.
true.
Acknowledge the ridiculousness of some of those intrusive thoughts,
Yeah.
and when we do, that'll help lose the power of them when we don't take them too seriously. 'Cause that's why they take hold, because we believe them, we take them seriously, and we listen to them too much.
And I'm sure you won't mind me sharing that you can sometimes do something like Sam did the other day to get rid of her mind monkeys. A nice tip from Miranda. What did you do, Sam, to make yourself laugh? And you went galloping down the street, did you not?
So I did, yeah. Just yeah, love Miranda.
That is a
She's great.
worthwhile exercise. That is. The
Yeah,
more people you
I
do it
did.
with.
Yeah, glass of wine helped though. before, and then like galloping around the street.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I didn't
it's quite
mention
insane.
that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anything that takes your mind off it.
Yeah, but there's things you can do. There's like there's simple practices for mental clarity.
Yeah.
Like pausing, and you've said this yourself. Pausing and breathe. You
Uh-huh.
know, this you can do this in everyday life before you go into that important
Yeah.
meeting, before you do a presentation, before you have a one-to-one with someone. It's that pause, take time. Even if it's just inhaling deeply for a few
Hmm.
seconds, holding it for a few, and then exhaling. That just calms
Yeah.
your body down,
Yeah, definitely
calms the
does.
heart rate, calms those mind monkeys, and just gets you in a better place to be able to deal with, the action you're going to be walking into.
Yeah, and it's just finding out what works for you. I mean, this doesn't work in all situations, but one thing I do know that helps me when I can't shut my mind down is music. I play the
Yeah,
flute. I just like to be in an empty room, left alone to do that, and that seems to take the fear out quite a bit for me.
yeah.
Of my head, I mean.
Music is music is really soothing, isn't it? And really, and interesting with music. When I've done courses in the past where it requires me to um, do some writing, some in terms of um, showing what I know in terms of the subject I'm dealing with,
Yeah,
I will often have music playing in the background because it allows me to be more creative in what I'm writing.
that's
Sounds really weird,
interesting.
but that really helps me. If it's just silence, I struggle. If I put music on, it's only low and it's a certain type of music. It helps me to open up, I guess.
Yeah, that's weird because as much as I love music, I can't have any music on when I'm trying to do work. I need zero distraction. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow. No,
yeah,
everyone's different.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you
Yeah,
go.
but combating the mind monkey,
Hmm.
focus on the present. I mean, and quite often we look at, go back years, don't we? Oh, this is what happened to me 10 years
I
ago.
know.
So the same thing's going to happen again. So focus on the present. When your thoughts start to wander, and they are certainly with me, they do, just bring your attention gently back to the present moment. And like we've said, journaling. Write down your worries. You do that a lot, don't you? You journal. I don't, and I think it's something I need to get into.
It's like
Or
mental
maybe do it a
decluttering.
different way.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mental
because I like,
decluttering, yeah, just getting everything out.
yeah, and that's what you need to
Mm.
do. Get it down on paper, and then and I'm guessing. Correct me if I'm wrong, Hazel. By having those thoughts on the paper, it'll help you to then minimise and think, well, actually, that's not true.
Oh,
Once you've got them on the paper,
yeah,
think, well, why am I worrying about that?
I know. It's so shocking what's
Or,
actually in your mind that is so irrelevant.
yeah, or you can use what you've written in your journal and then we can have a conversation and like, we're talking about Hazel. You know that's not true because,
That is
and
a
then you
good
get in
point. Yeah,
someone else's perspective.
that's
Oh,
actually a very good point. We might have to try that out, but
yeah,
I'll read.
yeah. And again, it's minimising that mind monkey. And I suppose, like I said before, it can only come within to tame those mind monkeys. But by releasing them and letting others know what they are and having that conversation and understanding someone else's perspective of it, it
Yeah.
can help you to diminish that. So I think that could be a good tool to use.
Yep, definitely. And
Yeah.
to finish off, then,
hmm
have we got anything more that we need to add, or is that? I'm just look.
Well, we can go on to our cocktail, but just
Oh,
just one more thing I'd just like to mention beforehand. That journaling's really good, but also because we've said our minds race between one thing and another, let's try and create that space between
yeah,
thoughts. Instead of reacting to thoughts immediately, pause, and again we've said pause already, and observe them, and try and observe them without judgment.
yeah,
Think about, well, what are these thoughts? Why are these thoughts coming through? And then maybe again, it's practice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not.
We're not going to be able to do this,
No,
straight away. Well, if we can, that's great, but it's practice about taking that pause and looking at why we're feeling that way.
absolutely, definitely. It's an ongoing process.
It really is. It really is.
Yes, and I forgot about our cocktail.
Yeah.
I know how did
Mind monkey mojito.
Mind Monkey Mojito, brilliant.
A mental reset, and we all need those, don't we?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So,
So, what have you got for us to start with?
ingredients. Why don't we start off with 2 ounces of awareness elixir? This will help you recognize your restless thoughts instead of letting them run wild.
Okay, and adding to that then is the ounce of compassion cordial. So you've got to remember, and Sam's touched on this quite a bit today, you've got to be compassionate to yourself and try and keep those mind monkeys as far away from you as you can.
Definitely. We could top it up with an ounce of courage tonic. Let's really push to challenge those anxious thoughts, which you said at the beginning, Hazel, that you suffer from,
Yeah,
and step into confidence.
that's a tricky one to do, but
It is, really is.
sometimes it's just doing these things a couple of times even can make slight improvements.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've got a splash of perspective spritz. Have I said that right? And that
I think so.
that is reframing, trying to put
Yeah,
things that's in your mind that causes you all these issues to look at them a different way and
yeah,
give yourself a fresh outlook. Get rid of some if you
definitely.
can.
Yes, yeah. Dash of resilience bitters. You know, nobody likes setbacks, but setbacks, unfortunately, or fortunately, are part of growth. Bitters makes the drink balance. So to have the good, you have to have a bit of the bad, and
Oh
that
yeah,
balances the cocktail out. Just like challenges make us stronger as well.
and it's the same as with stress. Everybody's always
Yeah,
gonna you're always gonna come across stress. Maybe when you
healthy
don't even know.
stress.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
always going to be there. So it's just being aware, isn't it?
it's
And
having that balance, not too much, not too little.
yeah, and that's why you're garnishing it with a reflective twist. The
Absolutely.
final touch to just assess it and move forward, probably realizing it's not as big as you think anyway. It's all these little things in here that are making you feel like that.
Yeah,
Another
perfect.
great recipe, Sam. Thank you very much.
No worries. So to be honest, here's the truth, Hazel. Those restless, doubting, overthinking mind monkeys,
Yep,
they're not stronger than you. They're not stronger than me. They don't get to run the show.
unless you let them.
Um, absolutely, unless you let them. So the next time you start swinging through your thoughts,
Yep.
remember you are capable, you are enough, and you are in control. You don't have to silence them completely. You just need to train them to work with you, not against you.
Yeah, and it's
You
all
know,
about. I'm a big believer in reframing because I think that's what it's all about. It's retraining your head when these doubts pop in or these mind monkeys saying that you're not good enough. It's reframing
yeah,
what they should be saying, not what they are saying.
absolutely.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
quite an intriguing subject, actually.
It really is, yeah. But it's interesting how we're focusing on one subject each session, but it's bringing so many other things like reframing,
They're all linking, aren't they?
procrastination, fear of judgment, which is why we probably always look at the negative.
Yeah,
Imposter syndrome,
yeah.
and I'm sure as we keep going on, they're all going to sort of tie in together, which and that for me is really interesting. They're not isolated subjects, are they? Really,
No,
they're all intertwined.
it's how we initially broke down what we were going to do. But like you say, they are all joined together in some way and can be helped by the same techniques and practices and so yes, I'm sure everything will tie in more and more as we go.
Yeah. So what we need to do, we need to raise a glass to clarity,
Okay.
to confidence, and the courage to quiet that chaos. Your mind is your space. and we need to make it a space that lifts us up and not holds us back.
That's exactly what we
Yeah,
need to be doing, and definitely something I will be continuing to work on.
absolutely. Me too. Me
Right.
too. I'm nowhere near the finished article. Long way to go.
Oh, it'll be years before I'm even happy enough.
Me too.
But
But that was great. Thanks for that, Hazel.
thank you, Sam, and I will see you before. When's our next one?
Um, 2 weeks.
2 weeks' time. That's right.
Yeah. We just need to decide what our next topic's going to be. But as soon as we know, we'll
Let
come on
you,
and we'll
the viewer,
let
know.
you know. Absolutely, yeah. So until next time, thank you for listening. Much appreciated.
And enjoy
Take
your
care.
day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.